Leclerc. Charles Leclerc.
Welcome to Negative Camber, the motorsport show, brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre.
Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside.
The ultimate pit stop.
The safety car is coming in.
Fueling your passion for motorsport.
With an emotional moment that means everything.
All of the latest results, analysis and interviews.
Roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race.
I'm Jamie Lemura, motorsport enthusiast, historian and media presenter.
And I'm Lee Harrison, motorsport professional, Sprint Master Karts race driver and Formula One alumni.
We're on Negative Camber, the motorsport show with Jamie and Lee. Lee Harrison is sitting, well, I guess on the screen or to my left, depending on which way you're viewing this. Hello, sir.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm feeling good. My life is in complete disarray. I'm completely disorganized. I apologize to our listeners and viewers for the toilet-like sound that you might be hearing because I'm 2 days away from moving house, and so all my proper audio-visual equipment is completely packed away. So yes, there's a lot of echo in this room, and I feel almost like an asylum. Everything's just white walls, white. But yes. I can't wait for this whole process to be over. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, look,
it's pretty.
Moving house is not fun.
No, especially when you have to work around either tradespeople or telecommunication companies that you have to spend 2 hours on the phone with, sorting out internet and their fuck ups, and then coordinating this and coordinating that, and then trying to work a full-time job at the same time. And yeah, the Easter break honestly can't come soon enough, to be honest with you. So yes, and but you've come back from. Well, this is the go-kart element of the show. So this is the go-kart edition of Negative Camber. You've come back from being on the tools at Mount Gambier, and can I say it is about bloody time that your team actually delivered a result. It's been 12 months in the making. I don't know what you did with Cody, whether you gave him a good fair kick up the arse and he actually came good and qualified well in one class. But walked away with some silverware, I hear.
Yeah, look, it was, like I said, we've been knocking on the door for a long time. We've always been able to qualify well. And if there's been rain around, we've definitely been probably like the pace setter by a long way. So to not have the pace in the dry and go wanting for so long, for lack of a better word, without jumping on the top step. We've had a couple of seconds, we've had a couple of thirds, but they sort of go unnoticed because no one remembers who finishes second or third on Monday. So yeah, look, there's definitely more to the story there, more to be revealed shortly. But I think we just sort of rolled out of the trailer in tag 125 a lot better than we had been prepared before. And I think it comes down to the fact that we actually spent some time going out to the track on the Monday after the Nationals and spending, what was supposed to be 2 or 3 sessions out there. We ended up spending 7 or 8 sessions out there and worked on the go-kart a fair bit and made some steps in the right direction. So kart feels good. Like I said, we rolled it out of the trailer at Mount Gambier. We had some pretty rubbish tyres on it that had done probably 250, 300 laps and weren't too far off in practice early on. And then we threw a new set of tyres at it and the thing came alive and we were pretty well the pace setter from that moment onwards. So, very, very pleasant weekend. That go-kart required very, very little attention, just some chain lube and some tyre pressures and just make sure that everything was in optimal working order. And we spent a lot more time trying to work on the KA and try and get that back into a window where we liked it.
Well, for those playing at home, we are talking about the opening round of the Festival State Cup, which is pretty much a 5-round state championship series that culminates in a nice piece of silverware, not too dissimilar to the one proudly sitting behind you on your mantelpiece. And it looks like it's been off to a good start. So you were the reigning champion of the 4-stroke class last year in medium and didn't race this time round. Are you planning on doing a title defence at all, or have you put the queue on the rack for this year and being a tool man?
The queue is definitely not in the rack completely, but whether there's any sort of proper tilt at a title defence, I don't. That's probably a hard no. I didn't race Mount Gambier through sort of extenuating circumstances. Unfortunately, Nick got COVID the week leading up to the event, so there was, it wasn't worth the risk going around to his place to assemble the go-kart and pick it up and get it ready to roll. So sort of started off there without rocking up. We're not planning on racing Whyalla. So, you miss 2 rounds. You've got a fair bit of work to do to try and, properly defend the title. So I might make an appearance here and there, but at the moment, there's just a fair bit going on for me outside of a race suit, which might see me taking a bit more of a back seat for this year in a racing sense. We've got quite a few soddy carts out there at the moment. We just sold another one this week as well. So the team's growing. We're looking at options there for more growth. And if I'm focusing on racing, then we're losing sight of making everyone else better. So I'm happy to take that back seat. I'll race when Cody's not available or there's not a field for Cody to race. I might race one of Cody's go-karts, but at the moment the 4SS is being parked up. I'll do some testing here and there for the Sprint Master as well. We've got another chassis coming off the jig in the Sprint Master in the not too distant future. So you won't be too long until you see me out there in that driving around in 2-stroke as well. But I'm just sort of in that weird spot where I can't race in tag light or restricted light because I'm too heavy. I can't race in KA3 light because I'm too heavy. So there's not really a 2-stroke class for me to race. And as much as I'd love to just throw a restrictor in and race tag restricted medium or something like that, I'm reluctant just for the optics that sort of projects into the atmosphere. But look, I'll spend plenty of time at the track with all the work with the AKC and other race meetings that I do with Top Gun and all the race meetings that we've got to do ourselves. I won't be missed from the track, that's for sure.
I wouldn't worry about optics, mate. There's some people driving in the restricted class that don't give a fuck about optics. So let's.
I've just run 1.5 seasons in 4SS medium as well. So
let's just put that elephant out of the room or whatever as well. So I wanted to, before we sort of deep dive into the weekend overall, I know when we last did our podcast a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the timed racing, and neither of us, neither here or there. Well, I know that you definitely weren't in favour of it, and I was, I don't know, a bit and ahhing about it, to be honest. What was the takeaway from the event now that you've run the event? And because I know, and I'm only going by a speed hive, but I believe that there was a major stoppage or a red flag incident in one of the heats that went for probably about a half an hour. Now, mind you, we are talking about Mount Gambier, so there is obviously telecommunication issues and stuff like that too. But, what was your feedback? Did you find out the reason why they went down this path as well while you were over there?
Yeah, 100%. I had a conversation regarding the whole move to timed races, and from that conversation, it appears that as though a lot of race meetings are going to move to a timed race format structure this year.
Okay.
And basically, it's just for the, I guess, for the organisation of the event so that they can plan more efficiently how long each race is going to take, and the timetable can be more accurately predicted, which, like you just said, actually only takes one red flag. It only takes, one class to have 7 carts go down, and there only be one recovery vehicle until that calendar's blown out, which was the case anyway. On Saturday, we didn't end up finish racing until about 6 o'clock. And then all of the heats and the finals on Sunday got reduced in their time by a minute, I believe. And we still ended up leaving at finishing racing at 2:30, 3 o'clock on Sunday. So it was still a very late drive home.
Yep.
So look, on first account, I don't think it actually helped keep the race meeting any more to time than if we had said the race is going to last 8 laps or 10 laps or whatever.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting to see how that looks going forward, whether it's held up at other tracks, whether it's not, whether it's what the process is. But there was also a bit of, I mean, I watched a fair amount of racing. We had karts in tag light, we had karts in KA3, we had karts in KA3 junior and in tag restricted light. So I watched a fair bit of racing, and it was very inconsistent with the way that the last lap board was delivered. Sometimes the last lap board would come on like halfway through the leader's second to last lap, and then the flag would be shown immediately. Sometimes the last lap board would come on at that time, and then the leader would get another full lap before the checkered flag. So yeah, I think one thing moving forward is that the clubs need to all make sure that their lap boards go down in single digit increments before the last lap. So at Mount Gambier, the 2 minute lap board would come on as the clock reached 2 minutes and 55 seconds to go. But then the only next option for them to drop the time down by any more was to go to last lap. So often it was the case that there was 2 minutes to go in the race for nearly 3 minutes of the race. So it just makes race strategy hard to predict. You can't tell when that last lap's going to come, or if you want to make a move just before the last lap or whatever. So maybe every club needs to get a digital countdown board like Southern had for the AKC, so you can actually see exactly how many seconds are left in the race. And just consistency across the board. Like if it says that the timer needs to run out and then you get another lap, then that's how it needs to run. And the last lap board can't be shown until the leader is coming to the lap board. It can't be shown halfway through the lap. So, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th are seeing last lap and then coming around and getting the last lap board again. I think the process needs some ironing out if it's going to be kept in the future, but probably best I leave it mostly there before I find a pink slip in the post box or something.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. We'll keep it G-rated for those that might be a little bit sensitive to some constructive criticism. Let's put it that way. So, what was your takeaway from the racing? Was it generally pretty good quality, or are we having still a hangover of the AKC shenanigans?
I mean, there was a rollover in the first heat of KA3 senior light, so look, it's still right there. A rollover in the first heat of KA3 light, a kart driving around with a NASA panel hanging over the right side pod and the rear bumper bar hanging off for 5 laps. Other karts driving around for plenty of laps with rear bumpers hanging off and major crash damage without seeing a mechanical defect flag or anything like that. So, look, there's plenty of room for improvement, but Sunday went okay. The racing seemed, relatively decent on the Sunday.
Yep.
Like I said, we were sort of a bit hamstrung for time. It was late by the time we got out of there, but yeah, that's just one of the things being a 2-day race meeting.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, with the rollover, was it driver error? Was it a case of, like we've seen in the past, cart's been too gripped up and it's flipped over with a case of tyres? I mean, do you know the cause?
No, it was just driver error.
Yeah.
Aggression on lap 1 aggression.
Yep. And no matter how many times we preach it, it doesn't change, does it? Considering now you've got the timed event and all that sort of stuff as well. So, yeah. Do you think that the timed event would actually allow for, well, in theory, and we are talking theory here, would you think a timed event would actually, in theory, allow drivers to be more tactical with their approach, or would it actually make it worse and rush and cause these accidents?
I don't think it actually is going to change anything because people are still going to make the same moves. Like lap 1 is obviously your opportunity to make up a few spots while the pack is still tight, fighting over position. So it's the opportunity to make up a few cheeky ones and get a couple of cheap ones. But then again, like the last couple of laps, once the race is settled down in the first 2 or so laps, you're sort of in a bit of a holding pattern unless you've got bulk speed. So, the race is sort of going to hold out until the last laps anyway. And, once that last lap board comes on, it's probably going to get more aggressive, if anything, because people suddenly realize, it's the last lap, I've got to do something now.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? It depends on which way you look at it and how you approach it. But I suppose as we keep saying and as I keep preaching, drivers, please use your brains. Come on, like you can't keep. I mean, you will never eliminate the first lap hero. Let's call it that. There's always going to be a few. We've all been and done it. But at some point, a little bit of common sense has got to come into it. And the gap ain't there. Don't send it. Not going to
Well,
happen.
and at the end of the day, go-karts are so soft these days that you don't want to wad up a go-kart in heat one and be building a brand new chassis. Like,
Yeah.
the damage bills, like, far out. Just think of your mechanics, think of your dad's wallet, think of your own wallet. Like, why do you need to damage all this equipment? It's just not necessary. Have a little bit of a patience. None of us at a Festival State Cup, none of us at a club day, none of us even at Australian Championships are getting scouted by Formula One teams or supercars teams and going, that's my driver for next year because he made that passing maneuver. That's not happening. So, like, at the end of the day, while it's nice to have a few little trophies on the mantelpiece, at the end of the day, if I wanted to, I could go down to the Northside Trophies down here and pick up a trophy just the same size and put my name on it for $50. So, think of how many times you could buy those trophies if you didn't wad up a go-kart and you're spending another $5,000 on a go-kart chassis.
Yeah, mate, I couldn't agree with you more. Completely agree with you. I mean, and at the end of the day, without going too into politics or whatever, I mean, the current economic situation in terms of jobland means that you're not going to be able to do the things that you could have done previously with in terms of spend and all that sort of stuff if you keep driving like a dickhead. Let's just be blunt. And,
I wouldn't have these things on my mantelpiece if I drove like a peanut and ended up in the gravel trap in turn one. Like, it's it's through hard work and being smart that you end up getting the silverware, not from ending up in the gravel in turn one with a bent go-kart. Hell, look at the freaking Enduro last year. I was a peanut and ended up in the gravel trap. I didn't go back to back. So,
mate, you said it. You took the words. I'm thinking to myself, geez, Leigh, I do remember lap 10 pretty well. In fact, I actually saw it. That was peanut. That was glazed almonds. That was the whole.
At the end of the day, my life is no different if I had a first place Enduro trophy sitting there or I didn't. So at the end, like, what's it would have changed my life? Not at all.
Mate, can I from technical aspect? I'm assuming that the chassis between your tag 125 and your KA3 is exactly the same. It's just a different motor, and yet, from one kart to the other, Cody was in struggle street with KA3, like miles off the pace. Over the weekend came good, I'll give him that. But what was different?
Yep. We probably haven't put as much time and effort into the KA kart as we should have.
Yep.
We probably should have had both karts out at the track the day after the Nationals and testing them. We ended up, the karts were completely different when we rolled them out of the trailer. And we ended up with the KA kart pretty well matching how we had the tag kart. Yep. And the further we went towards the tag kart setup, the better the KA became. There's still obviously a little bit to find. I think a bit of it is our motor. We just sort of got that back, and we were told that it's not really got very much horsepower in comparison. So don't expect to be winning any national championships with it. But that's sort of like, at least our tag motor we know is okay. We know we've got one donkey tag motor, but we know we've got one that's pretty good. Unfortunately, we don't really have that with the KA. And the KA, it's much more critical to have that that motor underneath you. And I mean, like, look, no disrespect to the competitors that we were racing in Mount Gambier, but the KA field was probably more quality than the tag field as well. Had there been, your Jacob Dowsons, your Jacob Chandlers, maybe it's different, maybe. But that's obviously yet to be seen. So it'll be interesting when we line up against those guys at a round down here in Adelaide, how it goes. but yeah, you still got your Ben Press. Bronson Bolt was down there. He's a pretty well local kid from Mount Gambier and done plenty of laps. And so obviously we still had to knock off a fair whack of competition, but the biggest names in Adelaide probably weren't there. So maybe that played into our hands. Maybe, like I said, if Jacob Chandler's there, if Jacob Dowson's different, if they're, it's a bit different, but would still take nothing away from the weekend. But it was still pretty decent. And obviously, we still had to roll out of the trailer and win. So quite happy.
Yeah. How about we run through the results, and you've got them there in front of you. So go through class by class and see how it all panned out for round one.
Yeah, no worries. So in Cadet 9, we had Bo Chambers winning from Nikolai Kosteri and Logan Reithus. In Cadet 12, we had, as it takes 5 seconds to load up for some reason, all of a sudden. Slight pause. We had Curtis Polkinghorn, Atherin Smith, and Diesel Waddell. In KA3 Junior Light, it was Noah Enright, followed by Cristiano Crissa and Xavier Kane. In KA3 Junior Heavy, it was Levi Jones and Samuel Spiteri, then Riley Briggs. In KA3 Senior, Max Wusko, Josh Elliston, Troy Morland. I don't know why the computer's decided to have a fritz on me right as I wanted to read these out.
Sure.
In Tag Light, Cody Harrison, Ben Press, Bronson Bolt. In Tag Restricted Medium, Paul Pittam, Reese Devlin, Jack Ryan. In Tag 125 Masters, Chris Prestige, James Cuevas, and Shane Smith. In 4SS Senior Medium, William Stevenson, Christina Barone, Nick Torquati. 4SS Senior Heavy, we had Daniel Bowden, James Place, and Jacob Holland. And in Tag 125 Light, it was Shane Morland. Why is that class loaded up twice?
Speed Hive's having a brain aneurysm by the looks of it.
Absolutely. It's because, I just needed to happen live, so it's decided to be a pain in the bum. In Tag 125 Restricted Light, we had Shane Morland, Braden Parkinson, and Sam Mirtanen.
A huge thank you goes out to our podium partner, Pro-Karts Race Centre, and our incredible sponsors. Your partnership allows us to continue bringing you this show and dive deeper into the world of motorsports. If your business adds value to the motorsport community, get in touch with us to become a Negative Camber partner.
Ready to turn your karting dreams into reality? Look no further than Pro-Karts Race Centre. Imagine hitting the track in the kart of your dreams, a ride that matches your budget and aspirations perfectly. With our pre-loved kart sourcing service, we make it happen. Our experienced team isn't just about mechanics, they're dream builders. We meticulously hand-pick each kart, ensuring reliability, performance, and sheer exhilaration. Whether you're a seasoned racer looking for an upgrade or a newcomer stepping into the world of karting, we're your pit crew, your partners in racing dreams. Get ready to feel the wind in your hair, the thrill in your heart, and the victory at your fingertips with Pro-Karts Race Centre, where dreams truly come to life. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Pro-Karts Race Centre, fueling your dreams, igniting your potential.
Before we get to a quick preview of round two, which is going to be held at the Barossa, and I've got a little whinge to have on that. Barossa Go-Kart Club public service announcement, October 8th, which is school holidays. The Sprockets, Junior Sprockets program is actually going to be at the Barossa Go-Kart Club October 8, 2024, open to kids between 6 and 12 years. Karts, racing suit, and helmets supplied. So cost is $250. And for that $250, you get a day of driver training and you learn the basics of go-karting while getting to have a go. And see if go-karting is actually for you. You never know. Lee Harrison might be hovering around the little juniors, might pick up some... No, that doesn't sound good when I say holding on little juniors picking up little kids. No.
No. Look, I think you can pretty well guarantee that I will be there doing some driver training for that event, and it's always hosted by Troy Hunt as well. So, look, you can't get much better than someone who's competed at the World Championships and raced for a factory team in Europe and been toe-to-toe with the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg and all the big names in Formula One, Vit Antonio Liuzzi and all those sorts of people, James Courtney, all those guys. So Troy Hunt's been up against him. He's beaten him. Jamie Whincup, you name it, Troy Hunt's been against him. He's, runs those courses really well. So if you are listening and you do have a young child, boy, girl, whatever, that wants to get into go-karting, I can absolutely recommend the day. And then, if it's for you, then you can definitely have a chat to me about experiencing some more go-kart with our Pro Karts Race Centre kart leasing programs. And that program's only going to go from strength to strength in the remainder of this year. So get on board, $250. It's a good, cheap school holiday activity for a whole day of expert driver tuition, kart control, which really just sets the children up for life at such a young age. Like, I can't think of how many car crashes I've avoided on the road just because of my spatial awareness and looking up and not looking at the end of my bonnet, which is some of the fundamentals that go-kart racing and teaches you.
Might take Orlando to that. Actually, he's old enough. He'll be 6 in a couple of weeks. And then it all turns to shit. So we'll see. But
your go-kart doesn't get used anyway, so at least you'll be able to sell it and fund his.
Oh, mate, don't even go there. I have my hands shaking now from the withdrawals. So
No, it's not.
At the end of the day, just to finish this off, at the end of the day, out of that, you'll get a $260 practice license from Karting Australia and a $200 membership from the Barossa Go-Kart Club to get you started. So you'll also receive a goodie bag from Junior Sprockets as well. So to register, Barossa Go-Kart Club's Facebook page and follow the links. So, or you can jump onto Karting Australia and they've got details on their website as well. So great initiative. See the Leigh there, kick him in the leg and tell him that you watch the show or listen to us. And no doubt he will teach you how to actually last longer than 10 laps in an endurance race and learn how to pass back markers properly. But I had to get that in there, man. I'm sorry. My gripe. Festival State Cup Round 2, Barossa, held in May. Why? And look, I don't know who organised the calendar, and before people get on their high horse and say it's too hard for fixtures, blah, 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 you're talking to someone that has done plenty of organising and having to work around fixtures and multiple fixtures for high kart series for the last 7 or 8 years, all right, and having to appease to a lot of people. So I think I know how to manoeuvre, I think I've got the right to actually have a little bit of feedback. Why, in the name of Christ, would you hold the Festival State Cup on Mother's Day? Mother's Day, right? Maybe it's not so bad Father's Day, Mother's Day, right? I actually had it earmarked, Festival State Cup, the grand return, saw the date, Mother's Day, done, I'm out. Because, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is with whether it's a karting SA thing, and I'm not going to blame Barossa Go-Kart Club because they're a great bunch of people, and before Danielle Anderson or James Place or John Ellis come and chew my ass, right? I know it's beyond that. But why would you put something like that on Mother's Day? It's a sacred day, almost, where you've got your wife, you've got your mum, you've got your in-laws, you've got sisters, parents, all that sort of shit. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense for me. If you're thinking that you're going to get people that are not going to come purely for that, in my opinion. Like the week before, I think it's a long weekend, I can't remember. The week after, like somewhere in the schedule, surely there should be another weekend where you could do it. Or they race at night time, run the Festival State Cup on the Saturday. Ross has got the bit, and you do it over one day. And do it under lights. There you go. And you don't have to worry about it. You'll get probably 130 entrants like they did 12 months ago. Race it on the Saturday. Start the practice in the morning. You race under lights. You'll be finished by the end of the day. So, I don't know. For me, if you're going to run a 2-day event, a place like Mount Gambier, Waialo, where there's some genuine distance, maybe Monado, give or take, because it's close to an hour and a half away. For most people, yeah, sure. But to hold the event on Mother's Day when, Barossa's the only track that can race under lights outside of Waiala, race it on the Saturday, Or if you're really keen, give people the Friday to practice and just run the race event on the Saturday If people are happy to take a 3/4 of a week off to race AKC to finish 25th, then, you might be better off actually racing, Festival State Cup and run the event on a Saturday or a Sunday. A Friday and a Saturday. That's my rant. Done. You don't want the pig slip, do you?
I can guarantee you that I won't be there, so...
Yeah, well, I won't be there. So Anthony won't be there. So Red 55 will have to make another... I'll win another Australian Grand Prix and have an appendix operation to come back even stronger. So
I'm surprised you're here tonight and not actually gone for your appendectomy so that you can actually win a race when you come back.
It was tempting. I did think... I was still tempted. Actually, yeah. You know what? The way this week's been going with everything in the house move, it feels like in many aspects as well. So anyway, but yes, Festival State Cup round 2 at Mother's Day weekend at the Barossa Go-Kart Club. If you are keen to race it, support the club. Barossa have gone through a bit of an evolution, let's call it that, or a revolution, probably the best way to describe it, in terms of their committee and their approach with especially junior karting and social karting this year. So get out there and support the club. They're onto good things, and I actually forecast that they will, the way they're going at the moment with how they're marketing the club and how they're really trying to appease the grassroots classes, I wouldn't be surprised if a third of the membership out of other clubs is taken and people start to shift their momentum towards Barossa within the next 3 years. That's my call.
It's one of those things though, like people are still going to need memberships to Southern and Monado because it's where the nationals and state championships are going to be held. So they're not going to flee that quickly. They might just buy a membership to Barossa as well as, but look, I don't see it hampering Southern's membership or Monado's membership. So yeah.
Cool. Well, that's go-karting wrapped up for this week with Negative Camber. And we'll be back in a few weeks' time previewing round 2 of the Festival State Cup and also covering other karting races as well. When's the AKC on before we wrap up next round?
The 18th to the 21st, 22nd of April. So
cool.
A couple of weeks before the Festival State Cup round.
Yep, and you'll be there, Maverick, doing your thing, top gunning?
Sure will be, yeah.
No worries, Goose. Good to hear. So we'll be back in a few weeks' time to dissect round 2 of the AKC. He leads travels with the Top Gun Driver Academy, as well as previewing of the Festival State Cup and club races here in Adelaide as well.
You've reached the checkered flag of another episode of Negative Camber the Motorsport Show, proudly brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre. A huge thank you to you, our incredible listeners. Your support and passion for motorsports fuels our enthusiasm to bring you the latest results, analysis, and interviews from the racing world. Keep that FOMO at bay by subscribing to Negative Camber on your favourite podcast platform. We'd also love it if you could leave us a review and share the show with your fellow racing enthusiasts. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, Negative Camber is more than just a podcast. We're a community of dedicated fans who live and breathe motorsports. Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners. Until next time, stay fueled with passion, embrace the Negative Camber, and keep chasing those podium finishes.